Welcome to Blended Scotch Reviews by Stab the Dragon Productions for episode number 29 and Blended Scotch Match number 7. Today is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. I'm coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas, where it was it was 51 degrees this morning and 82 this afternoon. So that's a 31-degree spread, which is great weather for making Texas whiskeys. On this channel, I review the well-known and some of the lesser-known blended scotches. Then after 2 reviews, I do a one-on-one competition to see if I can choose which one I like the best. My method. I have 2 blacked out glasses, numbered 1 and 2 on the bottom. I pour the 2 whiskeys in the glasses so that I know which glass has which whiskey, but then I mix the glasses up so I don't know which glass is which. And I conduct a blind tasting to see which one I like the best on the nose, the taste, the mouthfeel, the burn and finish. And then I try to guess which whiskey's in which glass after I've determined the winner. The winner might even get a cocktail. The winner will then advance into the next bracket of this tournament. So the whiskeys, just the facts. I've got Duncan Taylor in glass number 2. This 750 milliliter bottle of non-age stated 80 proof blended scotch can be had only at Total Wine for $19.99. Duncan Taylor is an independent bottler in Huntly, Scotland. And in this bottle we have Bell's Blended, the original. This 750 milliliter bottle is available in Fort Worth for $18.92. It weighs in also at 80 proof, just like the Duncan Taylor. This was established in 1825, says the label and bottle, and it is the 7th most popular blended scotch in the world on some lists and number 10 on another list I checked. And it's considered either the most popular or the 2nd most popular brand in the UK by other lists. Currently it is owned by Diageo. All right, I evaluate these whiskeys based on several things, so we'll start with history. Bell's Blended goes back to Arthur Bell. He was born in 1825, hence the 1825 on the bottle. But it wasn't until 1851 that he started blending whiskeys, and in 1904 when Bell's Blend came out. 2008 when this particular expression, labeled the original, came out. Duncan Taylor was founded in 1938, but this expression came out in 2021. So for history, Bell's wins. Bottle, label, and marketing. Both whiskeys have very nice bottles and labels. Bell's has a more unusual shape, whereas Duncan Taylor is kind of a standard shape, but it is very tall. When you look at these together, it's like, how in the world are both of these 750 milliliter? I don't know. To me, the Duncan Taylor bottle, it may be thicker glass. It definitely weighs more, so I don't know. But the bottles are nice. The labels are also both very nice. But marketing is where Bell's pulls ahead. Again, it's an easily recognizable brand name, one of the top 10 blends in the world. So, bottle, label, and marketing has to go to Bell's. Appearance. In the bottles, you can see the Bell's is noticeably darker. There. So I just aesthetically prefer darker whiskeys. So Bell's for the win for appearance. Composition. Duncan Taylor, they say they have about 25 whiskeys involved with this one. It is non-age stated on the bottle. That means it's probably got some 3-year-old stuff in there, of course. And Bell's has, everything I've seen about it says maybe 40 whiskeys. And it's got a 3-year age statement on the bottle. So, probably about the same age. But Bell's is way more complex than the Duncan Taylor with 40 whiskeys or so. So for composition, but I couldn't really find any details about either one. You can't find the single malts listed or anything. So they're both very secretive, and that's disappointing, but oh well. But Bell's is the more complex whiskey for the win. Price, value, and availability. Both whiskeys are only available at one retail outlet that I frequent. Bell's is available at Specs, and there are 2 Specs in West Fort Worth. So Duncan Taylor is just available at Total Wine. There's only one of those. So twice the availability for Bell's. So Bell's for the win. Uh, and it's $1 cheaper than Duncan Taylor. This is $18.92, and the Duncan Taylor is $19.99. So it's cheaper, it's more available. So Bell's for the win. Neat or mixer. Duncan Taylor was nice. It was a very pleasant pour, but it was a tad bit meek and mild for me. And so I'm not going to use that as a mixer, although some people would. Bell's has got a little bit of peat smoke going on that makes it perfect for a Godfather or a Rusty Nail cocktail. And the flavor is strong enough to hold up in ice, I think. So Bell's is more versatile. I like it in cocktails. I like it neat. Bell's for the win. You see which direction this is headed, right? All right. Well, now let's go to the whiskeys themselves. And again, I don't know which blacked out glass has which whiskey, but number 1 is Bell's and number 2 is Duncan Taylor. So I start off with the nose. Neither one had a really strong nose, but this one's pretty faint. Very mild nose. One on the right. Yeah, I think I'm getting a little bit more on the right. Maybe some peat smoke, perhaps. So I'm going to say the one on the right. I think the one on the right might have the stronger nose. It's going to be pretty close. So because the one on the left had a weaker nose, we'll start tasting on the left. Mildly sweet, malty, a little bit of wood tannins. Not really getting anything fruity. I had a very spicy supper, and that can wreck your palate. So yeah, it's a pleasant pour, mildly sweet, nothing dramatic going on there. So that's pleasant. The one on the right, immediately, this has stronger flavor. I get peat smoke at the front, and then in the back, a lot of peat smoke. So yeah, this has got way more going on. So the one on the right that I thought had the slightly better nose ends up, yeah, the taste follows and amplifies the nose for sure. So this is the bolder, more dramatic whiskey for definitely. So now let's look at the mouthfeel, burn, and finish. The one on the left. I'm not going to call this light. It's above light. You know, maybe not quite medium, but this is a decent mouthfeel. There's not much of a burn. In fact, there's no burn. There might be the hint of some tingles. So this is a very mild whiskey. On the finish, I'm getting some maltiness, some wood tannins. So it's a pleasant finish. It just doesn't last very long. So, you know, this is a very pleasant pour, but it's more simple. Does not have any drama going on, and doesn't last long. Whiskey on the right. Very similar with the mouthfeel. Not much of a burn either. I mean, you get a little bit more tingles, maybe some spiciness. The finish definitely lasts longer because you've got the peat smoke going on there that lingers, maltiness and peat smoke. So this one definitely wins the mouthfeel burn and finish. So when you tally up everything, I'm going to say the one on the right is the winner of this contest. And I'm going to guess which is which and say the one on the right is the Bell's. So when I hold this glass up, it should read number 1. And that is, in fact, what it is. Number 1. Duncan Taylor's in number 2. There you go. And how I arrange those is alphabetical. Bell's comes before Duncan. So we have a clear winner. Then, and I was able to identify which is which. So this is good. The winner frequently will get a cocktail. So hold on while I get my cocktail. I'm back, and I've made a couple of cocktails with Bell's before. I've made a Godfather, and I've made a Rusty Nail. The Godfather has got an amaretto in it. Now the other day, the one I made, I put a lemon slice in it. So I've made another Godfather, but this time no lemon slice. And the amaretto that I use is Di Serono. And I got this tiny little bottle because if you look at the recipes for the Godfather, some of them call for equal parts Scotch and amaretto. And amaretto is extremely sweet. And I don't do extremely sweet very well. And so I just use not even a tablespoon, I bet. A couple of teaspoons of amaretto, and I'm good. But a lot of recipes say, half as much amaretto as Scotch, and some even say 1-to-1 ratio. So, do it however tastes good to you. For me, just a little bit of Di Serono. Here we go. And yes, that works wonderfully. The other day, the one that I made, I think it was a Rusty Nail, I used some Drambuie and put too much amaretto in there, and it was too sweet. I mean, it was still good, but it was too sweet. Tonight's is perfect. So I would highly recommend the Godfather cocktail. It's kind of an old school cocktail from the 70s, but to me, it's just a very wonderful mix. And the Bell's is perfect because it's got the peat smoke going on in there. You're looking at under $20 a bottle. This makes a wonderful, nice, refreshing cocktail. So, all right, next on Blended Scotch Reviews, we are going to depart from our regularly scheduled program a little bit. And we're going to do something called a family feud. We did this with Dewar's a few months ago. And so for the next couple of weeks, we're going to examine this family of Scotch, Famous Grouse. They have several expressions, and we're going to, I've got 5 expressions of Famous Grouse. So we're going to do a study of the Famous Grouse family and do a feud. So that involves some one-on-one competitions within the family, right? So I've got Famous Grouse. I've got Bourbon Cask right here. And we've got the Ruby Cask there. And we've got the Smoky Black going on there. And then this won't really be fair, but it's related. The Naked Grouse, or it's now just called Naked Malt. They kind of changed the names. They sold it, so it's still related. And this is a blended malt, not a blended Scotch. So that again, that's the outlier. But that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. All right, that's all for tonight. This is Blended Scotch Reviews for Stab the Dragon, out here.